Hi there. This is a short casting update for House of the Dragon. Probably the last one I'm going to make before the show actually begins. And it's weird that this is the culmination of a 2-year-long process of picking apart who these people are and finding them over social media. Warner Media itself put out a press release today, the Wednesday before the Sunday premiere, just dumping out, and by the way, here's a list of 15 other characters. Most of them, the majority of them, are people we knew already. But the big one is that they confirmed who's playing Borros Baratheon. It'll be actor Roger Evans. We had already heard that because he's in the trailer, Boros' father, Boromund, is played by Julian Lewis-Jones. The interesting thing was they put out a featurette for each of the characters today, and in the Rhaenys one, we see a clip of the tournament. It's in the full trailer, you see that at the tournament there's a Baratheon Knight. He has a prominent Baratheon sigil on his shield. In this clip, he opens his helmet, rides up to the royal box, and puts up his thing and goes, "I'd like to carry the favor of the queen who never was," because Rhaenys is half Baratheon on her mother's side. And looking at it, people over Twitter pointed out, his face is mooshed from being in a helmet, but as you see in the screenshot here, I think that's Boros. That they're introducing Boros early by, even though his father is the lord of the house in episode 1, they're having him be a part of the tournament and ride up and prominently act friendly with Rhaenys. So it'll sting all the more when he snubs her faction later. Oh, that's a good idea. But we think that's him, it's hard to tell because his face is mooshed in there, but the big one was the Baratheon casting. The majority of the other ones are like all of the child versions compared to the teenage versions of the kids of Rhaenyra, Daemon, and Alicent. I've already made videos on this, I'm not going to waste time repeating it, but they confirmed everyone. We already knew that. Like, Evie Allen is young Helena, young Aemond, Daemon's girls. Obviously, I said the younger children, like Joffrey, and the younger ones are toddlers, they're not there, but these kids were coming to the red carpet premieres and openly posting selfies, and they still hadn't technically officially announced they were part of the cast with a press release for like a week after the early screenings. That was weird, that they were really far behind on that. The one weird thing is, for some reason, they never announced who was playing Luke Valarian, even though we knew he was in Season 1 from, leaked photos and things. That was very strange. I think it's because he's technically credited as, like, a guest actor instead of recurring, because he's not going to be in Season 2, but whatever. But they confirmed the older and younger versions of him. The one thing they didn't confirm, which is really weird, among all the kids of the main 3 characters, they didn't confirm who's playing young Aegon II, even though we are sure that it's Ty Tennant. Because he's worked with Tonglin Carney before in the Tolkien movie as a time-shifted version of the same person. I've talked about this in other videos, that why wouldn't you just spit out that he's playing Ty Tennant is young Aegon before they switched to Tom as the adult version? Very strange, but they listed off all the kids. They even listed off, I think I talked about this in an earlier video, there are 3 actresses playing Laena Velaryon. As an adult, as a teenager, and then as a kid. And I guess it would be for 2 episodes each. That episodes 1 and 2, I think in the royal box at the tournament, you can actually see, I think, what are supposed to be young Laena and young Laenor sitting in front of Rhaenys and Corlys. There should be a child Laenor, but I haven't seen him cast. But it was this whole thing that her mother posted on Instagram, and then they made her take it down because HBO was annoyed that she leaked it out, even though it was like a month to go until the premiere. Whatever. So we now have all 3 Laenas. I already posted leaks about that. We have all the kids except for Ty Tennant confirmed for some reason, and some other characters who I also reported on before. The Cargyle twins are played by the Tittenzor twins, identical twins. I already made a video on Grand Maester Orwell is in there. Let's see here. I'm just running through the thing. I'm not even going to edit this. There are 2 new characters, though, who I had never heard rumors about who would be playing these people. Actor Phil Daniels has been cast as Maester Gerardus, who is the Maester of Dragonstone, so he's Rhaenyra's Maester, and when the war breaks out, she says, "All right, you're my Grand Maester," even though she doesn't really have the authority to declare a Grand Maester. They're politically neutral. It's whoever controls the Red Keep gets the Grand Maester. They're politically neutral. But she was so upset, she said, "Screw it, you're my Grand Maester." And lastly, this one was kind of interesting. They have confirmed the casting of they haven't cut this character as the real thing. Jasper Wilde, the Master of Laws, right at the end of his heiress's reign, that Otto stacks the small council with green loyalists. I guess it makes sense I'm talking about him in a video mostly about that they cast Borros Baratheon because House Wilde is from the Stormlands, but Jasper Wilde, they call him Ironrod, and he's very strict. He's the Master of Laws at the very end of the reign, so he'd be like on the Green Council at the end of the season. I'm happy they didn't cut him or anything. Not the hugest character, but he's nice to be there. Played by actor Paul Kennedy. And this is just a little trivia thing. Turns out he was another one of those people who had a minor role in Game of Thrones before. He was like a minor background guard from the Eyrie for House Aaron at the beginning of season 5. When there's that stupid thing where they nonsensically have Brienne run into Sansa, but then make her leave, and then don't worry about why it's happening. Let's just focus on it was an unusually long chase and fight scene between Brienne and the Eyrie guards, which is, you can tell what their focus is. They spent so much time on the fight scene, and not that the logical setup of this doesn't make sense, but okay, he had a bit part there. It's not as funny as that the guy playing both Lannister twins, Tyland and Jason, Jefferson Hall, was back in Game of Thrones Season 1. He was a minor knight from the Vale who got killed in the tournament. That was a lot more memorable than, I was a minor Eyrie guard in Season 5. But, okay. So, hooray, they've cast Maester Gerardus and they've cast Ironrod for the Green Council. That should round out everyone. Also, as I've said in other videos, most of the Kingsguard, except for maybe 1 or 2 other guys. Check out my last Kingsguard video if you haven't already, where I said they're probably just going to set up Willis, Fell, Rickard Thorne in Season 2. It doesn't really contradict anything because we never had a full list of all 7 that Aegon and Rhaenyra had. They promoted up other knights to round out 7 on both sides. They'll work that out, but they assigned names to a surprisingly large number of them because they are book characters, but that's a separate thing. So go to the link below, check out the press release here that they confirmed a lot of people that we'd known for a long time. Ironrod and Gerardus were interesting. Boros I had actually heard of from leaks from WakeTheDragon.net and all the Reddit spies. They'd heard that for a while. Roger Evans is playing Boros. Weird thing is we haven't heard any rumors about his wife, who is from House Caron, and we see Caron Knights in Caron, Caron Knights from the Dornish Marches. We see some of those in that scene where they're competing to be Rhaenyra's sworn shield, so I thought that was trying to set up his wife. Maybe not. That she has such little dialogue. She's important, but she's important later. You could plausibly just go, look, let's just cast her when she'd actually talk for a later season, because she will skip the next 4 seasons or something. That you don't want to get screwed up with schedules, so I get that, but other weird thing is they've only cast, that we know of, 3 out of 4 Baratheon sisters. They might have condensed 2 of them, which you can because they're not, 2 of them are kind of interchangeable, near as we can tell, but then again, we don't know how the Regency, you can tell they're setting them up to do other things after the Regency ends in the later reign of Aegon III, so I don't know, but they've cast a decent number of Baratheons in this. They actually just put up on the HBO Max YouTube channel, right after Best of Targaryens in Game of Thrones Supercut, they didn't do Starks. The next one they made was Best of the Baratheons. They put that up yesterday. And those are the two great houses that currently have stuff, and not like Starks or Lannisters. They went right from Targaryen to Baratheon. Probably because you'll see a lot of Baratheons in the first episode on account of Rhaenys is half Baratheon. So we'll see how that works out. One other thing I didn't have time to report on, I'll link this. From casting reports, this isn't like a rumor or anything, this is someone found it on a Spotlight page. An actress named Alana Ramsey was cast as a character named Lyness Hightower, which is funny because that was the name of Jorah Mormont's first wife who left him. But it's a name that's repeated in the Dynasty more than once. Even in the books, there's more than one person named Lyness Hightower. Or rather, it's not in the books, but if you've ever been to Westeros.org, Elio and Linda do that, the word I'm saying is MMORPG, but it's not that. It's a role-playing game called Blood of Dragons, set during the Conquest of Dorne era. Like Daeron the First through Baelor the Blessed. It's more like they've been doing it chapter by chapter for like 10, 20 years. So like Baelor just died a year or two ago within their story, and they're advancing to the reign of Viserys II. So it's their role-playing game, Blood of Dragons. That someone pointed out on the forum that, oh yeah, in the list of characters for Blood of Dragons, there is another Hightower named Lyness Hightower, who's the second daughter of Ormond Hightower. That canonically he only has one daughter, but you can always have more. It says, well, there was a younger daughter. So, is this a sign that House of the Dragon, I don't know, rated a list of characters from the MMORPG, it's an MMORPG, it's a MUDs, I think, from the role-playing game to look for a name? Or is that pure coincidence? I don't know. Who is this Lyness? I'm assuming she's a handmaiden for Alicent. You know, like Marjorie, that the handmaidens are usually the minor cousins. So let's see what they're doing. They probably won't have speaking lines, but it's fun when they drop in little Easter eggs with the handmaids or actually have names from the books. So just, wow, this is the culmination of 2 years of guessing on this stuff. The spy community on Reddit, like I said, everyone who was part of specifically Fire and Blood fandom who wanted to report on casting for House of the Dragon. It's a lot like how Game of Thrones fandom came together. It's just, there's a sub-fandom for Fire and Blood for House of the Dragon, and over the past 2 years, we all found each other through Reddit, through the subreddit on this, through all the spy reports. Not even this year, because they weren't filming, but the heady days of early 2021 through the summer, when we were figuring out everyone they cast, and all these, there's a dozen people I know now who I didn't even know during Season 8, who just, this new wave of fans came in, who are now the House of the Dragon fandom. And eventually, I know them, I'm not part of this group, but they're friendly, I shoot them news every now and again. And all the community of spy reporters tracking down casting news on the subreddit, earlier this year they said, you know, all the other news sites aren't really enthusiastically reporting on House of the Dragon as much as we want them to, so let's make our own fan site. So they got together, dozen people, this is a large number of people, it is the entire spy community, the cast reporting spy community from House of the Dragon subreddit, got together and said, let's make our own news site. It'll be like what, as important as the fan site Redanian Intelligence is for Witcher fandom, for casting news, their explicit comparison will be the Redanian Intelligence of House of the Dragon. And they put together this new fan site. It just launched like a week ago, formally launched a week ago. It's been testing for a month. And it's called wakethedragon.net. And I think this is a good way to close out what is my last pre-season 1 casting report. Even though it's not a spy report, it's just a press release. If you've been following that, I managed to accurately predict, oh wow, who is this Millie Alcock and Emily Carey? Maybe they're playing Allie Blackwood back last summer. But that I told you it's harder to figure out who they're playing, but gradually we managed to figure out, with surprising accuracy, all the casting leaks. 90%, without exaggeration, 90% of the casting leaks I reported on that turned out to be accurate are from this crowd of people. This isn't one or two people. This is the dozen people who are the core, the hardcore veteran spy reporters really keeping track of casting news from House of the Dragon subreddit, said, let's expand this by making our own fan site as this new community that formed. I'm going to be promoting them a lot more because I like them because they're always shooting me news. And, I'm just the lucky slob who gets to repeat the scoops that they get. That if you like any of the casting reports I've made over these past 2 years, 90% ultimately comes from them. I'm just the guy packaging it, cross-referencing it, and presenting it. So I really hope their fan site grows and turns into something big, because they deserve it. And just when other news sites were just going through the motions on House of the Dragon, this is the hardcore, this is the heart of the new House of the Dragon fandom, is just the people who gradually coalesced on subreddit in 2021 during filming. And they told me Roger Evans was playing Borros Baratheon like half a year ago. They knew that already. But I'm trying to artfully, we can only when rather, if I reported it, I'd get in trouble. So for a lot of these actors, what it would be is hit refresh on their spotlight page, their resume page, over and over again. That if it's, most people wouldn't know to look up Roger Evans or something. If it's some obscure actor playing a third-tier role, we would then know, check this person's resume frequently, and then just say, oh, I stumbled on it, when really we knew months in advance. We just couldn't say until they let it slip. But we knew who to watch because of these advanced reports. So this is a pretty good, I really hope they become the what Redanian intelligence is for Witcher fandom. They become for House of the Dragon fandom. So I'm sorry I'm rambling this, I'm not going to edit this, because it's just dashing it off. It was a press release of who is playing all these roles. And actually, to be honest, because I have to edit 3 other videos and it's Wednesday night, I'm going to do this audio only and just put up the photo of, okay, these are all the roles. I'm sorry, this is what happens when they put up, and this is who Borros Baratheon is, the Wednesday before the premiere. I'm sorry, but I'll link to all the profile things and everything in the comments below. That this is pretty much going to be our last casting update for a while. That I'm telling you now, I haven't heard any other rumors. If there is a young Cregan coming, we haven't heard anything about it. There probably won't be, and I said they're not going to cast adult Cregan until Season 2. If he's in the first half of the season before the time skip, they've kept a really good lid on it. I kind of hope that we get young Cregan, young Jane Arryn. I would hope that, they have his father, Rickon Stark, maybe have him mention Cregan in dialogue. That would be more than we could hope for, The people want to know, what are the Starks doing now? They might not be in it that much for Season 1. Pretty sure the Dragon Seeds aren't being set up in Season 1 either. It's just due to casting. You wouldn't cast them to have a cameo and then go on break for 2 years. It doesn't work like that. I've talked about this before. I think that covers most of the major roles. And for those of you already typing, where is Mushroom? Okay, reporters at the advanced premiere were asking Condell that, and he just says no comment. That we think he's going to have a Mushroom cameo in Season 1. We've heard rumors of that when they go to Flea Bottom, there's a dwarf jester in one scene. But we're not really sure how they're handling that. I'm not keeping secrets. I really don't know. And I don't want Mushroom's version of this history. These salacious allegations, these implausible acts of impropriety, physically implausible, let it die. We don't need that. But in terms of everyone else, they've cast the entire Green Council. They've cast basically all the Kingsguard. There are the other great houses and the Blackwoods. We know that it's like with the Starks and Baratheons, the older generation will appear before the time jump. So the parents of Alice and Bloody Ben, there's an older Blackwood who's in. We know the Blackwood Bracken feud is in episode 4. There's a couple other people we meet. There's a montage of the Courtship of Rhaenyra. I've already talked about this, where it's in the book that they go around meeting different houses to try to vie for Rhaenyra's hand. There's a duel between a Blackwood and a Bracken. I have heard we will see, like, the parents of Tyland and Jason in episode 4, who may have been invented for the show because they're not in the books. I mean, they must have had parents, and it's possible that Martin contributed names for it. Oh yeah, that I saw, actually forget the actress's name, but I saw a leak from WakeTheDragon.net, by the way, from that crowd of, oh, this is who's playing Tyland's mother, and here's what her name is in the show. It began with a C, of course. But they're not big characters. They're like in one episode just to show, oh, this is the older Lannister generation. But then there's the time skip, and it's all about Tyland and Jason. So, like, you'll see bits of little characters, but not, like, major ones that wouldn't... Think of who was a character in The Rogue Prince. They've basically covered everyone. They will have to expand out to the other great houses. That's going to wait until Season 2. But this is... all of the major ones we were expecting. I mean, Daeron the Daring officially won't appear until Season 2. It's just... wow, it's all finishing up now. Matter of less than a week before the premiere, we finally got confirmation on so many of these roles, finishing the children, finishing the Green Council, and it's wow, what a road it's been. I hope you've been following. Tell me in the comments if you've been following my spy reporting on these casting things since they began. This started, oh god, late 2020 when the first news, back then it was announcements of this is who Viserys is, this is who Rhaenyra, Alicent, and Daemon are. And then in early 2021, we just kept getting smaller spy reports of, we know this person is in the cast, why are these other people following them? That Fabian Frankel, it was right after they cast the second wave in February 2021. Fabian Frankel, Kristen Cole, he's quite the gossip on Instagram, and he friends everyone. And simply by following who he was friending, he was posting photos of himself with Millie Alcock, young Rhaenyra, and people are just going on the subreddit, she's an Australian actress, why would she be in England? Is she playing someone? And we gradually started thinking, oh, I thought she might be a Lannister or something. I didn't guess that she was Rhaenyra, but we guessed that they were part of the cast, and then, well, who were they following? And we managed to find out a significant portion of the cast just from those Instagram things, March to May of 2021. It's been a fun ride. Thanks for sticking around, and I know we are still a shadow of what we were back during the Game of Thrones days. But we're not trying to get back the Game of Thrones days. We're trying to be something new and better. And all I can say is I have no idea what the reaction to Season 1 is going to be. I know it's hit quality from everything we've seen, from all the thought they put into it. The question is, will audiences be willing to give it a shot after everything that happened under the old regime? It's not their fault. I can't predict that, and neither can HBO. That's why, they're holding off on officially renewing Season 2 and casting people for Season 2 until they see how well Season 1 does, or on greenlighting other spin-offs. I can't predict, HBO can't predict, how much the world is going to change come November after Season 1 finishes. That it's going to be something wonderful. We really can't say what's going to happen. And I try to see that as a good thing of, I can't predict what's going to happen. Maybe it'll be something new and wonderful. We can't even anticipate how good it's going to be. The whole situation, with the casting, with the people they bring in, we'll see what happens. But this is rounding out the cast list. I'm not editing this because I'm rushing off for other things. And please check out WakeTheDragon.net. This is the new fan site made by the hardcore spy reports and casting leaks community that has been doing this for 2 years. 90% of my info comes from specifically this crowd of people. And a lot of them actually run news sites you've heard of. There's the girl who runs the House of the Dragon Greek language Facebook group and Twitter channel. House of the Dragon Brazil, the Hungarian channel. A lot of the European and Brazilian channels got together, and they were the people doing spy reports. And they got together and said, no one's reporting on our casting news. Maybe we should just make a news site ourselves. And they're really great. For some reason, they put up with me, even though I'm really, yelling all the time. They go, no, you report on our stuff really nicely. We focus on that, not all the yelling, because you help a lot, and I'd like to think I help. I don't know. But they seem to put up with me, and I really like them, and they do a really good job. So please check out wakethedragon.net. It is Wednesday night. I have like 2 or 3 other big projects I was editing together just in time for the weekend. And the next casting news you hear will be surprise character reveals we get as the episodes come out. And it might not be anything big. It might just be guard number 2, or it could be, oh, they made an Easter egg by naming that person something from the books, even though they're a background character. So, the new era is about to begin.